My name is Suzzanne Laidlaw, and before I explain to you a bit about what I do and how I help people, I'd like to explain a little bit about why I do what I do and what got me to where I was, because everyone has a story, and sometimes the story determines where they get to. So my husband and I, many years ago, started our own business in the times of the recession that we were meant to have back in 1989. And why did we start our own business? We started our own business because we were unemployable. I had a newborn baby, 6 weeks old, and David had 9 months previously been caught in a house fire in our house. So he looked like Freddy Krueger. So we basically were pretty much unemployable. So we decided to start our own business. Now, in the house fire, he'd had a can of petrol explode in his face, and his whole body was burnt, 3rd-degree burns from head to toe. And the journey that we went through over those first 6 months is the worst and the most painful journey. We went places that people would never have been. He actually passed away and had a choice to come back. He had his body charred and swollen like it didn't even look like a human being anymore. He had 17 general anaesthetics in the first year. And I actually got to see him pass away for what seemed like hours, but it was probably only about 30 seconds. And, you know, when he looks back and says, you know, why did I decide to come back? Why did I decide, you know, to keep going through all the pain and all the operations? And the one thing that he always goes back to was, he said, I couldn't let you down, Susie. We had dreams. We had goals, we had plans. We'd only just got married. I was only in my early 20s. We decided we wanted to have children. We decided that we wanted to travel the world. We wanted to have a holiday house. We wanted to go to places that we'd not been before. We wanted to go to Ireland. We wanted to go to America. We wanted to do all these things together. And we'd planned out the next 40, 50 years together. And we'd only just started. And he said, I couldn't let you down. There is no way I could let you down. We just started the journey. And so because we were so clear on that vision, we were so clear on what we wanted to achieve, we had that path laid out, that was that guiding, shining light that kept us through, that was the glue that kept us together. And that was the light that we could see at the end of the tunnel. And one of the reasons why I do what I do is to help business owners get really clear on what is their guiding light, what is their dream, what is their vision, so that when it all hits the fan, as life does to us, whether it's through what I experienced with my husband being burnt, or whether it's through you having a heart attack, or whether it's through one of your kids being sick, or the GFC, that guiding light guides you through those tough times, and you're very clear on where it is and what you have to do to get there. So over the next hour, I'm going to go through what the Entrepreneurs Program is, and why it's designed to help small business owners, people that have just started business or who've been in business for a few years and have got to a stage where they want to take it to the next level, but they don't know what that next level is. They don't know how to get to that next level. They don't know what that next level is. So what I'm going to do is get clarity with people on, okay, what is that next level for you, and what do we have to do to get there? So I'm going to go through that over the next hour. You know, I really appreciate you spending the time to go through this. You might have heard that saying, you know, you can go and make more money, but you can't go and make more time. So once you've spent the time, it's gone. So I do appreciate you spending the time, and you know, the things that you're doing now are keeping you in the circle that you're in now. So if you're wanting to get a different result, we must do something different. And that's what my job is to do, is to help people work out what is that different thing that we need to do. Is it a different business model? Is it a different plan? Is it a different marketing strategy? Have you got a marketing strategy? Is it different financials? Do you know what your financials are? Is it different team members? Are your team not gluing together? What is it that we need to do to get you from where you are now to where you want to go? Because what got you here is not going to get you there, because you do the same, you get the same. So I urge you to really have a good listen over the next hour at how I do this and how I love doing this, and it can be a life changer. You must be prepared to change, and you must be really determined to make those changes, because when life gets tough, you've got to be clear on where you want to go. And enjoy the journey, and I'll go through a bit more with the flip chart. Thank you. Let's look at the big picture now of why business coaching works, and what the whole entrepreneurial journey is about. It doesn't matter which level you're on or which rung of the ladder you're on. I'm just going to go through the ladder and where most people are sitting at this moment. So whether it's at school or whether it's at university, most of us start off as a student at life, at something. So it doesn't matter where it is, we're at university, we're at school, we're at TAFE, most people start here as a student. Then, from then on, most people have one of two rungs to go on. They either go and become an employee, so they get a job, and they work for a boss, and they have a career, which is fine. Or they can go on to this next rung, which is the self-employed rung. Now, some people get to become self-employed because they might have inherited a business from their family, or they may have decided that they were sick of working for the idiot boss that they were working for, and because he didn't know what he was doing, and then they decided they could do it better, so they went out and got a job and became self-employed, and then realised after some time that they were working for just as silly as an idiot as their boss was, and that they didn't know what they were doing after all. So in the self-employed side of things, a business is basically reliant upon one person. You are the business. Some people call it's just over broke. And the business is solely reliant on yourself, and it's basically you bought yourself a job. And that acronym just over broke is sometimes termed when we look at being self-employed. So this is when the business owner finds it hard to go on holidays, the business is them, it's hard for them to go and have time off because the business is basically reliant upon them. Now, the next level that people go up on this cash flow rung is the manager. Now, these are the two levels that most people come to me and speak to me. Now, the manager level, now I'm not talking about a manager as in you're managing a business, as in you're a manager of someone else's business. I'm talking about a manager of your business. So this is when you start to have a team. Now, you notice I said team. We don't use the word staff because your team is basically your team of how you work as a team. When we talk about a sporting team and we talk about the team members, it's always classed as a team. So what we're looking at here is you're running the business, but you have people that can actually help you in the team. So you've might have half a dozen staff, you might have 20 staff, I don't know, but you do have a group to help you with the business. So we're starting to get some systems and we're starting to get some good cash flow. But the difference here is that the business is very much determined upon you being there. Yeah, you're starting to have a few holidays, but you still find it very difficult to have time off because you're still in the manager state. And the business is very much determined upon you being there. And if you go and have a holiday, often the business doesn't run so well without you. So you can't actually take a holiday for very long. So this is when the business is growing a bit, but it's still very much reliant upon you. Often business owners say the business runs them at this stage. It's got so big that the business is running them, they're not running it. It's starting to get away from them and they're almost shackled to the business. So then once someone has spent some time working in this level as a manager, the next level that they go on to is being an owner. Now, you're thinking, what's the difference between an owner and a manager? There's a lot of difference. So when you've got a business owner, this is somebody who the whole business is not determined upon them being there or them not being there. They're in essence, they have a commercial, profitable enterprise that can actually work without them. So they've got systems in place, they've got a great culture, they've got awesome client base, and they've got a business that can operate whether they are or they're not there. So they can go off and have, a couple of months holiday and the business is still running without them.
So that's the next level. This is the rung that I'm working with most business on to get them up to this owner level. Now, once someone's got their business like that and it's running without them, the next level on the cash flow ladder is to get to become an investor. Now, this is when someone is investing in multiple businesses. So they've got one business working well and they might go and buy another one, or they might franchise. I've worked with people that have franchised over East. I've worked with businesses who franchised or started up operations in different countries. So this is when you're starting to actually multiply and invest in your business, in multiplying or in other businesses. Then this last level here, this is the entrepreneur level. This is the Richard Bransons of the world. These are the people that get offered money from the banks without any collateral, and these are people that it's basically their financial journey is no longer based on finances. It's based on whatever they want to do, really. So what happens here is my job as a business coach is to help you work up this cash flow ladder, so that as you have more cash flow, then what happens is, where do we spend the cash? What we do is we spend the cash here in the capital ladder, because what happens is the capital ladder can then create more cash flow from investing that cash. So when we look here, there's 3 different areas that we can invest cash in. One is in other businesses. The other is in shares and commodities and currency, and the other one is in property. So what happens is we make the cash here, we invest the cash here, and then that cash then makes more cash. So then that creates wealth, that creates choices, which is what we're here. So the main goal here is when this cash flow ladder is pouring into here, is for 2 reasons. Is to create more of our dreams, and our goals to come true. That's what we're doing. So if we my goal here as a business coach is to get people to go up the cash flow ladder and then invest that cash flow into the capital ladder, then the capital ladder gives us access to our dreams and our goals. So when we meet up, what I'm going to be doing is asking, what are your dreams and goals? Because if you don't know what your dreams and goals are and aren't really clear on it, it's really hard to achieve them. So I'm going to be getting very specific on, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And then reverse engineering it back to say, well, what has to happen in the business for you to be able to do this? And I had a lovely young couple that came to me a few years ago. They were short of cash flow, in a lot of debt, big overdraft, own a lot of money on their property. And they said, look, Suze, we want to go and travel. We want to have some free time. We'd like to actually sell our business. We'd like to build the value of our business up so we can sell it, get some systems in place. I've been working with them for about 3-4 years now, and we've got to the stage where they've sold their business. They've got shares, they've got properties. They've sold their business. They're looking at investing in another business. And what are they doing? They're now making their dreams and goals come true, where they're looking at traveling, they're looking at having children, and all the things that we'd reverse engineered back to where they wanted. So remember a few minutes ago, I talked about what got you there. What got you here won't get you there. So whatever you're doing that's got you stuck here, which is the 3 areas that I mainly have people coming to me, that's not going to get you over here, because if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result. So what we're doing as business coaches is we're working with you on strategies, on knowledge, and particularly a mindset. And working in this can be a huge life change for you. It can change your whole mindset and the family around you, and can give you a totally different perspective on life. Because we're now saying, well, what are your dreams and goals? And what do we have to do to make them possible? Now, you might want a Ferrari. You might want to start an orphanage. You might want to, backpack the world. You might want to walk to base camp of the Himalayas. But whatever you want to do in life, I can guarantee you will need basically more time or more money to do those things. Regardless of whether they're materialistic or not, it doesn't bother me. But my job as a coach is to help you get up this cash flow ladder so that you do have more time, you do have more money, and have more choices. so that then your whole life you can actually dream and decide, well, what do we really want to make this life all about? What do we want to do with our family? I mean, I have one client whose mother, what they do is they take them in a different country, their whole family, for a trip once a year, because that's what she wants to do. She likes to spend Christmas with her family. She pays for everyone to go. Now, what a wonderful thing to be able to do. So it's important for you to understand that as a coach, what I'm wanting to do is to show you how this is possible, how we've been doing it for a long time, and what has to change in your mindset for you to have access to it. So what I'm going to do is go a little bit deeper into here. So hang with me for a while, and I'm going to go into a bit deeper of how we actually do this. There's no point wanting to put money over into the capital ladder if we haven't got enough cash flow in the business. So what I'm going to do is go through what this actually looks like. So we're looking here at how we can get up that cash flow ladder. Now, it doesn't matter what program of coaching that you might do with us. All of the coaching programs that we have available, we all have to go through up this ladder. So starts off first of all with mastery level. Now, it's similar to a house. Mastery is like having the strong foundations of your house. If you don't have strong foundations in your house is going to fall over. Exactly the same in the business. We need to start with mastery of the foundations of the business. Now, what's in mastery? We're looking at understanding what are our dreams, what are our goals. We said that a minute ago. We need to get clarity on where you want to actually go. What are your dreams and goals, business and in life in general? What's your vision of the future? What's your why? Why are you doing this business? What do you want to create? What legacy do you want to create in your life? We need to also get clear of what is your plan for your business. Where do you plan to take your business? And what are your financials? I talk to business owners all the time and I ask them things like, what's your gross profit margin? What's your profit and loss look like? We need to know what do your numbers of your business look like? What's a good month? What's a bad month? And we need to have clarity over your time. What are you doing with your time? Are you doing menial things that somebody else could do? How are you actually delegating your time? The other area here we need to look at mastery is your customer service. What's your customer service level like? There's not much point in us, ramping up the sales if your customer service is terrible and you're not making enough money in the products you're actually selling. So we need to clarify that first. Otherwise, we might send you backwards quicker. So we've got to get very clear on what the foundations of the business are first. And then we can look at making more money and getting more cash flow. Now, once the foundations are solid, we go into the niche area or the niche area. Now, this is where the cash flow happens. And, if we talk about businesses that go bankrupt and, we talk about this 96% of businesses that are closed within 10 years, what is generally the main reason businesses go bankrupt? They run out of money. They run out of cash flow. It's like the blood of a business. You need to have cash to run the business. So it's almost like the oxygen tanks of a business. We need to have plenty of reserve oxygen tanks for the business to grow and for the business to be successful. So we've got to make sure there's a good flow of cash flow so that we can get money from the cash flow ladder over to the capital ladder to make sure that then you can follow through with all your dreams and aspirations and your goals and your plans for the future. So what happens here? This is where we get your marketing plan sorted out. This is where we get clear on where is your best lead generation strategy happening, who are your customers, where are they coming from, and increasing that cash flow and making sure that we get that cash flow to be steady. Just like, as we said, oxygen tanks for the business, it needs to be steady. We need to have that steady cash flow. So we're working out, what can we do to get customers to come back more? What's the best strategies to communicate with our target market? Testing and measuring, what are the best marketing strategies that work? Which ones work, which ones don't work? Funny story, I had a client once that was looking at investing money into cinema advertising. We went and had a look at the event and spoke to some people who were, spending lots of money in cinema advertising, and I asked them how many leads they got. Not one of them was testing and measuring the results. So there's no point in spending money on marketing if we're not measuring what are the results that we're actually getting. Have you ever done a marketing campaign and not actually measured how much return on that investment you got? It's just like throwing money in the dark, we don't know. So we need to make sure here that we're investing our time and our money in marketing that's going to bring us that cash flow that we need to, as the blood and the oxygen of the business, to keep it going. So once we've got this marketing side of things humming along really nicely, we then go up to the leverage side of things. So leverage, we're looking at making sure that we're getting as much leverage as possible in our business. Now, you might be thinking, what do we mean by leverage? This is about setting up systems. This is about leveraging through people. This is about leveraging through time. So getting other people to do things that might be spending a lot of your time that they can be doing a lot quicker. I know myself, if I did my own bookkeeping, I would probably take 5 times as long as a bookkeeper would take to do it. So that's leverage. It's much, much more effective for me to do something else and get a bookkeeper to do the bookkeeping. Write a system. You know, I often get my clients to use their iPhones and do video, and when they're showing someone how to do something, video it. They video it once, that's it, done forever. And then the next time their new person comes on for their induction, go to video of how to set up email address or how to set up a machine. So we're looking at what needs to be leveraged in your business so that when you're not there, there's ways of doing things that people know, so that we're not doing the same thing. Every time you get a new staff member, you have to make up an induction program. Does it all start exactly the same? Or every time you hire someone, does it start the same? Once we get a system on how to do it, then we can just use that system every single time, and it just gets tweaked little by little so that we're constantly improving. So that's leverage. Now, once we go from leverage, the next area we look at here is team. Now, team is where we get everyone pushing in the same direction, where we've got that culture. Now, I heard a saying, funnily enough, I think it was Brad Sugars who said it to me, and you might want to write this one down. You might have heard a bit. You get the team you deserve. Some of you might be thinking, yeah, oh, that hurt. But it's actually true. So if you're looking at getting a team to work together with you, what we're wanting to do is treat them how we want to be treated. Treat them like a family. Work together with them on how we can get everyone engaged in their heart and also engaged in their brain so that they're all moving in the same direction. And you've probably experienced it. You might even be experiencing it now. But, I've seen some of my clients I've worked with, they've had terrorists in their business. People that come in every day and they twist their knife in everyone's back and they're negative all the time and they just set the whole mood down. Now, if you've got terrorists in your business, we want to get them out. We want people that are on the same page and that are going in the same direction. And this is about culture and working together as a team. There's a lot of work to be done here. Now, once we've got this working well, we can then go into synergy, which is when it's all working together. There's no way you can go on holidays for a month if your team is not working together. If you've got a terrorist in your business, there is no way you're going to go on holidays and have a good sleep on holidays. The team needs to be working as one motivated, excited team. And then we have synergy, and that's when the whole lot's working well together. That's when we can go and have holidays and be rested to know the business has been looked after by people who actually care. That's when we can start to duplicate it and start an office in another country or another state, or start franchising it, or start to replicate what we've done, because once we've done it once, we can do it again. I had a lady who came to me a few years ago. She had a retail store with 20 odd staff, was working 6-7 days a week, wanted to have kids, wanted to get married. She was at around between this and this level. We worked hard for 2 years. We got her right up to this level. She also had quite a bit of debt. We cranked up this cash flow, did some more systems, got all the team on board, started to get job descriptions, KPIs, that's key performance indicators, started to get some performance reviews going, and that team, and rewards, that team hummed, and then now she's put a manager in the business. It's doing really well. She's ended up getting married, having children, and only has to go in once a month and see the business. So it doesn't matter where you're at, in your business currently, we will be working in any one of these areas so that we can increase the cash to get it over to the capital ladder, so you can create more of your ideal dreams and goals and aspirations, or replicate more of these businesses. Either way, we need to basically get all of this working. So stick with me. I hope you've written some notes, and what I'm going to do next is go through each of these in a little bit more detail. Thank you. Now let's have a look at what climbing this cash flow ladder actually looks like. And I'm going to go deeper into the first level, which is the mastery level. So let's just have a look what working on the mastery level looks like. Remember, we just talked about the foundations of a house have to be strong. This is the foundations of your business. This is what mastery is. So I'm just going to go into each one of them so that you can understand the sort of things that need to be in place. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, hopefully you've got a pen and paper, is give yourself a score. 10 out of 10, you're a super rock star, and 0 out of 10, maybe we could, have a bit of work to be done. There's a bit of work that might be done in that area. So I want you to get a pen and paper out and give yourself a score out of 10 in each one of these areas. So the first one here, and I want you to be honest with yourself as well, no cheating. First one here is, as I said before, it's about destination. So this is about quantifying your dreams and goals. So if your dream is to, sponsor an orphanage, or if your dream is to buy that Maserati, when is it actually going to be? What's the deadline? Get some specific quantities on some of these dreams and goals. And if you're say you want to sell the business by a certain date, when is that date going to be? When do you want to retire by? Also, we need to look at protection and wills. Do you have income protection in place? If you were to get sick tomorrow, or break a leg, or couldn't work, what would happen? Would you have an income? So do you have income protection in place? Do you have a will in place? I mean, I actually had a client of mine who had a heart attack and he couldn't work for some time, but he did have income protection in place, thank goodness. And a will. Wills are very important. I'd be devastated if something happened to one of my clients and the family members came to me and said, why didn't you ask if he had a will? I would really, really urge, if your will is not up to date, go and get it up to date. And that's one of the questions I'll be asking first of all is, do you have these in place? Because they're really important. They could save a lot of time and hassle for your family if they're not in place. Structure. Now I'm talking about business structure. Is the structure of your business set up so that it's optimized for tax? Some people, if they've not had the business set up structurally from the beginning, could be paying more tax than they should be paying. So we're looking at that. Health. Now you might be thinking, you're a business coach. What's health got to do with it? Well, I think it's got a lot to do with it, because if you're not healthy for business, your business is not going to be as successful as it could. So you imagine if you were lacking in energy and lacking in clarity and fuzzy in the brain because you didn't have enough fitness to get through a business day, well, your business is not going to be working as well as it could. So I'm going to be asking you, are you happy with your health? Are you happy with your fitness? Are you fit for business? And are you happy with the nutrition that you've got? So that you actually, this vehicle that you've got to run your business is working at optimal. Just like a vehicle of a car, if it's running sluggish, it's not going to be performing as well as it could. Our body's exactly the same. We're wanting to run a dynamic business. How are we treating our body? Like it's a temple and that it's going to be dynamic. So I'll be asking you that. Also, what's your vision and mission of the business? So what does the business look like in the future? And is your vision written down? Do all the team know it? If I walked into your business and asked the receptionist, hey, what's the vision of this company? Would they know what it is? Or would they just give me a blank look? So is it clear what the mission is? What is your company doing? And again, is it written down? Other things here, personal awareness. Personal awareness, we normally look at saying, are we clear on the areas of us as a person that we need to work on? And we always do profiling, personality profiling. And you'll see in any sporting team, personality profiling is a tool that's often used, because then we can see, okay, we need to improve in these areas. How do we communicate best with our team members? What's the best personality to do this job, etc. So we'll be looking at that so that we get the best out of the people and we know how we operate ourselves. So that's the destination. So give yourself a score out of 10. How clear are you? Are you a rock star on all of this, or is there some work that needs to be done? Write it down now. Remember, tell the truth. It's your business. So give yourself a score out of 10. So then we go on here and look at the money side. Now, this is really important. If you want the business to go up that cash flow ladder, it won't go up that cash flow ladder unless you've got this nailed. I don't care how great and wonderful you are at doing your job. If this is not nailed, there is no way you're going to go up the cash flow ladder. So this is really, really important. I can't stress this enough. So this is about having clarity of what's happening with your money. Do you read your profit and loss every month? And do you actually read your balance sheet in relation to your profit and loss? Do you know what they are? Most people I talk to don't even know what a balance sheet is and never looked at it. It's looking at the scores of your business and how it's going and where you can improve. Break even, that's another one. Often I talk to people and they have no idea of where their break even is. So we need to know where your break even is, so that if your break even is, at lunchtime on Friday, everyone doesn't start to pack up and go home because it's lunchtime Friday. We need to know where your break even point is and where you're actually going to improve that. Testing and measuring. That's about testing and measuring all the things that we do in relation to the business where we can improve. So, for example, I was working with a retail store some time ago and we were looking at what's their average gross profit per hour, per staff member on the floor, per salesperson on the floor. Over a period of probably 18 months, we tripled their gross profit per hour that they were actually selling. They'd never measured it before. That's what I'm talking about, testing and measuring in relation to your numbers. They'd never ever known it before. So we started to work on it. Then we started to look at products. Which products had more gross profit margin in? Which ones didn't? Okay, let's focus on those. Let's look at what we can do to incentivize people to increase that gross profit margin in each sale that they actually sell, which is something that we worked on because we started testing and measuring it. The other thing is cash flow forecasting. Do we know what cash is coming in? Do we know how much we can take out of the business? Do we know where the cash flow, if there's going to be a cash flow gap, and how we can increase that? So we generally look at predicting all the inflowing cash flow and the outgoing cash flow, so that when the BAS or the GST comes up, it's not, oh no, we don't have any money. We know exactly that we've got the money and we've planned for it. So there's no surprises. The other one is targets. Do we have targets? Do we know what the targets are? And do our sales team know what they are? Does the whole office know what they are? So that when we have targets, it's something to focus on and increase and actually achieve, and it pulls all the team together. So the thing is, many times I've said to business owners, what are the goals of your team members? And I'll say, do you have goals for them? And they'll say, yes. And then I say, well, do they know what they are? And they go, no. And it's like, okay, so you've got a goal for them to, turn over this many sales, but you haven't actually shared it with them. Well, wouldn't it be a lot easier for them to achieve it if they knew what their goal was? Absolutely. So have a look at where you sit here and give yourself a score out of 10. If you've got your profit and loss and balance sheet and your break even and all of the testing and measuring and cash flow forecasting, if you're going through that every month and working out how you can improve it and tracking it to your targets and budgets, give yourself a score out of 10. Give it 10 if you've got all that now. Look at where you need to improve. Now, the next level here we're looking at is delivery. So this is delivering your product. So do we have clarity of what is the standard in your business? So that if I went and bought something off your company and I recommended my friend and they went and bought something, would they get the same standard of service? Or is it different? Is there no standards, or is there some good standards? Is there systems of ways of doing things, so that if I bought a product off you, 2 or 3 later I get a call saying, hey, we just wanted to follow up and see how the car went, that your new car that you've bought, or whatever the product is. So we want to find out, are there systems and processes of how to give that great service? And you know, it might be that we might have to do some surveys of your customers, and also surveys of your team members and your staff to see and find out, you know, okay, of them, you know, do they think that we're giving the best possible delivery of service? And how do we communicate with our clients? I heard someone say once, saying, if you're not communicating with your clients every 90 days, somebody else is. So what sort of communication systems do you have in place to communicate with your clients so that they know that you care about them? Now, give yourself a score out of 10 for this one and see if you think there's a bit of opportunity there. Now, the last one here is time. What is happening with your time? If I was to video camera you for a week and see what you're doing with your time, are you wasting your time? Are you procrastinating? Are you not delegating places that you could be delegating? Have you got a structure diarised so that you're optimising time, almost defragging like we do in a computer, but with your time? Other things we should stop doing, other things you should start doing that you're not doing, that you know you should be doing. And are you getting leverage? Are you wasting time doing things that need to be done by somebody else and not you? So give your score out of here. This is a really, really important area. So many business owners waste time. Remember I said before, you know, we can go and make more money, but we can't get our time back. Once we've used it, it's gone forever. So that's basically the summary of the mastery area, and we need to master that before we can go and make more cash and go up to the cash flow ladder to get that cash flow to get into our capital. So the key area of focus when you're wanting to make more cash flow is to find out, well, how are we going to make more cash flow? So we're going to dive into the niche area and have a look. Now, not all cash is created equal. So you can get cash from, you know, financing, or you can get cash from maybe selling an asset. But what we're focusing on now is operating cash flow. This is cash flow that's come from operations of the business. So this is where we're going to create continual cash flow. So I'm going to go down to the balance sheet first and look at it here. So we've got here accounts receivable days. So this is how long does it take your clients or customers to pay their invoice? And what is the average accounts receivable day? So you'll know on average some people are slow, some people are longer at paying, but what we're going to do is say, well, what do we have to do to make sure that the actual debtors pay their accounts quicker? Now, also here, we've got inventory days. So this is stock. How long does the stock sit on your shelf? Do you know how long it sits on your shelf? And are you doing strategies to actually make it get off your shelf quicker? Now, big companies like Microsoft and Apple, they know exactly how long their computers and their equipment sits on the shelf for, and they have it sitting there as minimal amount as possible. Now, it doesn't matter if your business, you say we're a retail store, we don't have debtors, we don't have to worry about accounts receivable days, that's fine, just bear with me. And if you say, look, my business is a service business, we don't have inventory, we don't have stock, that doesn't relate to me, that's fine as well. We've got a lot of other areas here that we're going to look at, so you'll just have to bear with me. I'm trying to make this equate to any business. So the last area here in relation to the balance sheet is accounts payable. How long does it take you to pay your bills? So what we're focusing on here with cash flow in relation to the balance sheet is we're going to try and make sure these people pay you quicker and your stock goes off the shelf quicker and you take a little bit longer to pay some of these. So we're looking at actually seeing what we can do to improve the outcome of all of these. So after we've looked here at the balance sheet, then we look at, okay, how else does cash affect us? It affects us through the profit and loss. Now, we have this formula called the 5 ways. So when business owners come to me, they often say, hey Suze, I just need more customers, I need more sales, I need more profit. That's all I need. And I can't help you with that, because there, as you'll see, there's an equal sign here. They're all results. They're all outcomes. They're the end of the sum. But what I can help you with is what are the activities and the actions that need to be done to change this outcome. So this is all about your marketing. When we start off here, this is how many leads. Do you know how many leads are coming into your business? And do you know who your target market is? This is about having a really good marketing plan. Do you know who your target market is and what their problems are? And what are the different areas that you need to communicate your message to them? And where are you communicating that message? Then we look at saying conversion rate. What is your conversion rate? How many of the people that you talk to do you actually convert to customers? And what strategies are you doing to actually increase that conversion rate? And are you measuring it? That gives us how many customers. Then we look here at number of transactions. Do you know how many times your customers come back? Now, most of these we can get out of standard most standard bookkeeping systems that we can get these numbers out of. So this is how many times are they coming back to you? How many times are they coming and repeat ordering? So we want to know what that number of transactions are. And what's the average dollar sale? You know, what's the average amount of spend when they come and spend? And what strategies are you doing to improve that? The old, would you like fries with that strategy? I was told that McDonald's was worth $18 million per day just by adding that strategy, which is a huge one. So what are your fries in your business? And what are you asking your clients to add to their sale to increase the average dollar sale? By helping them get what they want. And then the last one here is the margin. Now, generally when I work with business owners, this is the first area we'll start. There's a lot of money sitting on the table here, and it doesn't require any money, financial investment to work on margins. We don't have to go out and do, pay for SEO or pay for ads. This here is where a lot of money is sitting on the table. So this is about, can you improve your efficiency in what you're doing if you're manufacturing? I'm sure you can. Is there a better way of buying your products? Can you buy them in bulk? What can we do to improve this profit margin to get a better profit on the bottom line? So what we're looking at here really is the chassis of a business, just like the chassis of a car. It's the same, whether it's a Porsche or whether it's a VW. So whether you've got a little coffee van or whether you've got a multi-million-dollar factory, all of these numbers we'll be able to find out what they are, and we have strategies of actually improving each one of these areas. So if we're looking at this, we've got over 365 strategies just in this area alone of how we can improve those numbers in your business. Down here in the balance sheet, we've got over 60 strategies of how to improve each one of these areas. Now, yes, there's books you can buy where you can find out strategies how to do this, and there's YouTube you can watch, and there's workshops that you can go to. The thing is, will you read the books and will you actually do it? So it doesn't matter what program of coaching that we do, we work in strategies in all of these areas with our clients, because it doesn't matter what business you are, they're all relevant and they will all flow down to the cash flow. So we've got a strong foundation now and we've built more cash flow in the business. So we've got a lot more cash flow coming in to give us a lot more choices. But now what we've got to look at is how can we actually leverage that? Looking at leverage, I touched on it a little bit before, but I just want to go a little bit deeper. So leverage, the word leverage is all about ever more with ever less. So we're wanting to say, what can we do that's going to create a great system that's going to actually keep working for us time and time and time again? This is getting systems around the way we do things. This is getting standard operating procedures. This is getting videos. This is getting photos. This is all the support that your team needs so that they don't constantly need to come to you going, how do we do this? How do we do this? This is broken. We have ways of doing things. Now, the thing is about systems is that when we have more systems, it creates us more time so that we've got more leverage to go and do other things like working on our business. Now, there's also different things as far as financially you can set up for systems, like setting up automated payments, setting up budgets, setting up spreadsheets and things like that that are going to be taking all that manual time away from you. So what we want to do is create systems that are not making a business that's going to be like a robot, so that everyone's walking around, you know, without any personality and in autopilot. It's that Pareto's 80-20 rule. We're wanting to have 80% of your business is systemized so that people know what they're doing, how they should be doing it, but 20% is personality, is warmth, is from the heart. They have to use their brain, so that we do have that personal touch, so that it's not just like a robot and there is no feel from it. So think about your business and how much leverage you've got and how well you've systemized your business. Give yourself a score out of 10 and see if you think that there's a few areas of opportunity where you could have better systems for the team. Now, the next area we want to look at is team. And, you know, I mentioned before that, you know, we have that saying of, you know, you get the team you deserve. There's another saying, and you might want to write this one down, that, you know, the fish rots from its head down. In other words, if you're you know, really bad at leadership, well, your team is not going to be performing very well. So when we look at a team, we want to say, with this team, are there, you know, things in place so that they know what a high-performing team is? There's certain elements that need to be in place in a high-performing team. Now, this is about strong leadership, not just you, but of the team. Do they have the confidence to make decisions for themselves and be strong leaders within their own right? Do they have accountability? Do they have an action plan? Do they know what their goals are? Is there a rules of the game? Rules of the game meaning that's your culture. If in any business, there will be a default culture or there's a defined culture. So if you've decided that, you know, it's okay to text in work hours, that's fine. If it's okay to gossip, then that's fine. Personally, you know, I think gossip's something that we don't want to have in the workplace. But you've got to decide what is your culture and decide that with your team and create that environment that is going to be an optimal environment for that team to go forward. When you look at any high-performing sporting team, that culture is amazing. It's electric. You can feel it. And the team works together. The sum of all of them together is greater than them, and it just takes them along. So what we want to find out is what has to happen in your team to make your team sing and to make your team grow together. One of the things that I often work with people in is KPIs. What are their key performance indicators? Do they know what a really successful job is? And what are the activities that need to be done to create their goal KPI? So, you know, if their KPI was to get X amount of sales, great. How many sales calls do they need to do to make that? Similarly, your goal might be to lose 10 kgs, 10 kilograms of weight, but what are the activities that you need to do to achieve that KPI? So we want to make sure we're measuring and keeping people accountable for the actions and the activities that matter. That's, you know, getting a really good team behind you is crucial. And anyone who's worked with a high-performing team, they'll know the difference between one that is and one that isn't. And you'll know yourself if your team is a high-performing team and what needs to be done about it. So we work a lot in this area, and it's a really important area. Now, once you've got this amazing team working, the next area that we go on to is synergy. Synergy is when everything is working together and we can start to step back and look at the big picture, where the capital is going to be, where the cash flow is going to be invested in the capital ladder, what we're going to do next. Are we going to leverage the business and you know, set up different offices? Are we going to buy a different business? Are we going to put a manager in the business? Are we going to franchise? Are we going to look at investing in other areas or diversifying in product groups? So the key really here at Synergy is choices. That's the key. is that this is the area that we get to when we have choices, and that's what people who have choices have actually got to, and they've been through all those areas of the business. Now, it doesn't matter when I start to work with businesses which area they're in, because different companies are stronger in different areas than others, so we might need to work a bit in this area and a bit in this area. But the main point that I want you to know is that this is where we get the choices, because we've got all the homework done. Now, it does take time, and you have to be committed, and you have to want to. You have to want to be able to get to this level where you have those choices. And as I said before, over 10 years I've been working with many, many businesses, hundreds of people literally, to get them to this level, but there are things that have to be done beforehand. It's not easy. If it was easy, the stats wouldn't be so favoured against you. So you need to decide whether you're up for the journey and whether you want to get to this level bad enough, and whether you're prepared to go through what needs to be done to get there. And we can talk about it together when we catch up of where your business is at the moment. So you've now seen how we work with businesses and how we help businesses grow. So what I'd like to show you now is one of the ways that we can help business owners get started to actually go on that journey. And we have a program called the Entrepreneurs University program. Now, this program has been run very successfully for over the last 4 years, and it's had businesses of all different levels have access to coaching with a lot smaller investment that they would have normally had to invest if they had decided to do one-on-one coaching. It also creates the camaraderie of working with other business owners together over a 12-month period. So the Entrepreneurs University program, what we'll be doing when we catch up, and there's quite a bit of prep work beforehand, is we're going to get really clear on what your goals are and what your strategies. You'll know, after what we've just been through, you'll know a ton of things that you need to do in your business that need to be changed or for the business to grow. So how the EUP or Entrepreneurs University program looks is we catch up basically for 2 days every quarter with a bunch of other business owners. Now, before I go into that, I just want to share with you that when we do catch up, we're going to get really clear, especially our first meeting, on which areas you need to work in. So we're going to get very clear on what all the opportunities are in your business and your plan of what you're going to be doing in what areas over especially the first 3 months. So these are all strategies, these are all areas, and each one of these will have the strategy that we've worked out with you that needs to be done to achieve where you want to go. So we want to get clear on what is this goal, what's the goalpost that you need to achieve, and what are all the strategies in all these different areas of your business that need to be ticked off over the period of our journey together. So we will work that out very first. At the start, we're going to get clear on what those goals are. Then, as I said before, we catch up with a group of other business owners every 3 months for 2 days. Now, it's on the weekend because most business owners, if they're not up to the leverage level, they can't afford to take a business day off. So we work for 2 days together in a group. We generally start early, around 8, and we finish whenever we finish. Sometimes, we've finished quite late because if someone's been coached through a challenge, then we're not going to just cut it short. So we all stay there till we're actually finished. So sometimes goal is finish about 5, but sometimes, we might finish later. So we're going to be working every 3 months for 2 days together. And we're going to have the camaraderie of other business owners, and you'll be able to watch other business owners be coached. Now, the great thing is about this is that the fact of mirroring is a hugely powerful tool, because what happens is business owners often are sitting watching someone be coached, and all these bells are going off in their head thinking, oh my God, that's me, that's exactly me. So through looking outside the frame and watching somebody else go through a challenging situation and be coached through it, then they get the learning out of it as well. So you're getting an added layer of benefit of somebody else being coached. So we've got 2 days every quarter. Now we also have every 6 weeks we've got a webinar. So in between that, we've got a 6-week webinar in between to go through any questions, where we all get on the call and find out how's everyone going with their strategies, how's everyone following through. Now, as well as that, what we do have is we have a buddy system where we buddy up everybody with a buddy, so that they're called their accountability buddy. So they hold them accountable for following through with all these actions that need to be followed through, and all these strategies that they've thought, oh, one day I'll write a marketing plan, one day I'll write a system for answering the phone, one day we'll get a budget. So they hold you accountable for that. So that means that every fortnight, so twice every month, you've also got your accountability call with your buddy. So as you can see, there's going to be a whole lot of action happening over that 12-month period that might not otherwise be actually happening as well. So on top of that, we've got templates, videos and tools that you've also got access to. As well as that, we get you to send your financials in, so that we're tracking every month, we're keeping a record of your financials, so that if anything is out of the ordinary, you'll know it, because for once you're actually looking at them every month. Whereas if you weren't being held accountable to send them to somebody, you wouldn't be noticing. So they're getting tracked as well every month. Remember, we said before that the financials were really critical. You need to know those critical drivers. Pardon me. You wouldn't drive a car without looking at what the speed was, and you wouldn't drive a car without looking at what the petrol dial was. So we want to know what those dials are of your business and keep you accountable to actually measuring them. So when we catch up, we will decide whether or not the Entrepreneurs University program is for you. It may or may not be. Coaching one-on-one might be suitable for you, but this is a really good starting point for a lot of businesses. The results are phenomenal. What sort of investment are we looking at? We're looking at just under $800 a month we're looking at, and our goal is, based on the strategies you're doing, is for people to get that investment returned to them within the first 3 months, so that the rest of it is just all cream, so that we're making sure in 3 months' time we're saying, okay, what are the strategies that you wouldn't have done otherwise? What's the return been on that? What's the benefit been on that? So that we make sure that people are going from where they are now to where they actually want to be, so that we've had this huge shift and this huge change of energy. Also, being with a group of other business owners, the learning and the power of a group working through something together is immense, because as business owners we feel quite alone often. So this way there's a group of people that you're working together with, all making the shift together. And myself as the coach, I'm someone who's been coaching hundreds of business owners over 10 years. So I've been there, done that, and I know exactly how you feel. I've been in the trenches as well. So it's being led from somebody who has empathy in exactly where you're coming from. So I really look forward to having our meeting together, and I look forward to finding out where your opportunities are, and deciding whether the Entrepreneurs Program is or isn't for you. From our point of view, it doesn't matter for us if it is or isn't for you, because we work with a lot of different business owners. We're not desperate to sign you up or anything like that. But what we do know is that if things have to change in your business and you've decided it's time to change, that we can assist you getting that change. But it must come from within your heart, and you must be ready to change. It must be driven by the actions that you do, and you must be prepared to follow through, because as you know, if someone decides to do a marathon and they don't turn up for training, they're going to be in a pretty poor state. So for people that come along on this journey, they must play full on and they must put everything into it, and the results that they get are phenomenal. So thank you for taking this hour to go through this. I hope it's been a learning curve for you, and I really look forward to meeting you. Thank you.